Hi everyone, this is Billy from Piano and Pies, and this video is meant to support all my other videos where we break down pop songs, rock songs, everything on guitar, and this is all the most common chords that you'll see in pop music. I'm going to start off with some open chords. On the screen somewhere there is timestamps for all the chords, so if you need to look at a specific chord, then just follow that timestamp. Here we go. So we're going to look at open chords, and all I mean by open chords is that they will include some open strings, as in you'll play a string without a finger on it, as well as usually some fingers on the guitar on other strings. And the first chord we're going to look at is a chord called A major. Now A major is one of the trickier chords. We've got three fingers that we have to glue together. They go on the D string, the G string, and the B string, all fret 2. And we strum every string except for the low E string, so the A, D, G, B and E strings. That is A major, so that finger, and that finger. You can play A major if that's a bit too tight. You can move your middle finger and replace your pointy finger on the D string and basically swap those two fingers around. Gets the same chord, and that can help a little bit. C major's next. What we're going to do is put your pointy finger on fret 1 of the B string, close to the fret line. We're going to go on fret 2 on the D string with your middle finger, and then your ring finger fret 3 on the A string, and if we strum all the strings except the E string, we get C major. D major takes your pointy finger on fret 2 of the G string, your ring finger on fret 3 of the B string, and then middle finger on the bottom string, your high E, on fret 2. And if we strum the bottom 4 strings, which includes that open D string, we get D major. Just to be clear, we miss out the E and the A strings on this to get D major. E major is next, and what we're going to do is get these two fingers and glue them together. They're both going to go on fret number 2 on the A and D strings, so those two live there. And your pointy finger, your index finger, goes on fret 1 on the G string. And we strum all 6 strings, which includes the open E strings, so nothing on the 2 E strings, but still play them. And that is E major. G major can be played a couple of different ways. The main way is by taking your middle finger, fret 3 on the E string, your pointy finger, fret 2 on the A string, and either your ring finger or your little finger on the high E string, and strum all 6 strings. However, the version that I like to play includes your ring finger on fret 3 on the B string, as well as all the other notes. It sounds very similar. You can tell a small difference. Both of them are G major, both of them work really well. A minor is fret 1 on the B string, and then we take these two fingers that are glued together onto fret 2 of the D and G strings. And if we strum the bottom 5 strings, missing out this low E string, we get A minor. D minor is fret 1 on the high E string, fret 3 on the B string, and fret 2 on the G string. And if we strum the bottom 4 strings, which includes the open D string, that is D minor, missing out the E and A strings at the top. We then have E minor, which is 2 fingers glued together on the A and D strings, fret 2 on both, and we strum all 6 strings. Bar chords are where things get a little bit trickier, and bar chords tend to be where a finger will be barred over several, if not all, of the strings. And I'm going to go over the main 2 shapes that we use on guitar. It's not all of the shapes, but it's the most common ones. So we can have a major chord shape. And I'm just going to pick fret 3 to build it on. I'm going to have a flat finger going down fret 3. And then I'm going to take my middle finger, put it on the fret above the bar, so that's on the G string there, and then a fret up from there on the A and D strings, I put these 2 fingers. So I've got this on the G string, D and A, and then this is barred, so you've got 1 fret, next fret, and these 2 frets. If you were to strum all 6 strings, we get a major bar chord. And this is starting from the E string. Now to build a minor chord on the same set of strings, we just get rid of this finger. So now the barred finger is picking up that new note. I could even get this finger and let it rest on that finger to give extra pressure. So there's the minor chord. Now if we move everything down to the A string, we can make major and minor chords that way. It's a little bit different. So minor chords actually take the major shape from previously on the top string and moves everything down a string. So the barred finger is now not worrying about this high E string, but we've got the same shape, but this is now on the B string, a fret higher than the bar, and then these 2 fingers on the D and G strings. If I strum everything except the E string, I get a minor bar chord. To make a major bar chord starting on the A string, what I have to do is get 3 fingers glued together. Now, not many people like to play this one, but that finger's barred as normal on the bottom 5 strings, missing out the E string. And these are at 2 frets higher than the barred finger, so missing out this fret. And then this is on the D, G and B strings. And that is a major bar chord. There is a busker's way of playing it, which a colleague of mine likes to call it, where you take the barred finger, you get another finger, ideally the 3rd finger, and bar the next set of strings to play that. It's a similar sound, got to be careful of that high E string. But that's a busker's way of playing it. I'd recommend this because it gives you more control. Moving on to 7th chords. There are 4 main types of 7th chords. However, there's one type that we're going to completely ignore because it's not very commonly used. That's what we call a major minor 7th. Ignore that. The 3 main types are dominant 7s, major 7s, and minor 7s. We're going to look at the open versions of dominant 7s to begin with. The first one is C7. If you get your C major chord, which is fret 1 on the B string, fret 2 on the D string, fret 3 on the A string, and then get your little finger and put it on fret 3 of the G string, strum everything except your E string, we get a C7 chord. A7 takes an A major chord, which is 2, 2 and 2 on the D, G and B strings, and gets rid of that middle finger, so it's basically an open string on the G. We then get A7 or A dominant 7. Next is E7. So E7 is an E major chord, which is 2 and 2 on the A and D strings and 1 on the G string, and gets rid of that finger. So the D string is now open. That is E7. D7, we have pointy finger on fret 1 of the B string, this finger a string higher on the G, fret 2, and ring finger on the very bottom string, fret 2. And if we strum the bottom 4 strings, we get D7, D dominant 7. G7 is the next dominant 7 shape, and what we're going to do is take 3rd finger on the E string, fret 3, 2 on the A string, and then fret 1 on the high E string, so a big stretch. There is a G dominant 7 shape. Moving on to some major 7 chords now. We have A major 7, which is 1 on the G string, 2 on the D string, 2 on the B string. And that is A major 7 if we play everything except the low E string. C major 7 takes your ring finger on fret 3, middle finger on fret 2, this is the A and the D strings I'm talking about, and play everything except the low E string, and that's C major 7. D major 7 takes 3 fingers, glue them together, and put them all on the bottom 3 strings, fret 2, and play the bottom 4 strings, which includes the open D string, D major 7. E major 7 takes these 2 fingers, glues them together, takes this finger and puts it on fret 1 of the G string, this pointy finger on fret 1 of the D string, and then this finger on fret 2 of the A string, and we get E major 7. G major 7 takes your third finger and puts it on the 3 of the E string, and point your finger on fret 2 of the high E string, and if we strum everything, we get G major 7. Just a quick note, it's ideal to miss out the A string. To do that, this finger is not only playing the E string at the top, but it's slightly leaning on the A string, so when I play the A string, I'll get a muted sound, and what that does when I strum all together, you don't really hear that A string, but you hear all the notes around it, and that makes it a G major 7. Now let's move on to some minor 7s. We have fret 1 on the B string, 2 on the D string, and then we play everything except the low E string to get A minor 7. D minor 7 takes this finger on fret 1 of the E and the B string, so one finger for 2 strings, and then this finger curves around for fret 2 on the G string, and if we play the bottom 4 strings, we get D minor 7. E minor 7, one of the easier chords to play, middle finger, fret 2 on the A string, strum all 6 strings, we get E minor 7. We're now going to look at some sus chords, short for suspended chords, and we basically have 2 different types, sus 2 and sus 4 chords. I won't go into the theory behind why we call them sus chords and why they're called 2 and 4, but these are the most common ones that we'll see in pop and rock music. We're going to start with A major, and what we're going to do to turn it into a sus 2, A major is 2, 2 and 2 on the D, G and B strings. We're going to get rid of this finger and keep that B string as an open string to make A sus 2. If we take that same finger and put it on fret 3 of the B string, we get A sus 4. C major can be turned into C sus 2 or C sus 4, and there's a few different ways of playing it. We can get your little finger and put this finger on the fret 3 of the B string to make a C sus 2 chord. If we take the same finger, the little finger, and put it on fret 3 of the D string, we get C sus 4. Moving on to D, to get D sus 2, we can take a D major chord, which is 2 on the G, 3 on the B, and 2 on the high E string. We take that middle finger on the high E string, get rid of it so it's an open E string. There is a D sus 2 chord. D sus 4 takes the little finger and puts it on fret 3 of that E string, and there we go, there's D sus 4. If you would like a PDF of all of the chord shapes that you've seen in this video, then head on over to my Patreon page, there's a link in the description and you can download it from there. If you found this video in any way useful, please like and subscribe. However, thank you very much for watching, I'll see you in the next video.